recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane.
On 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games.
Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at ZEDGamesAU.
Good evening, everyone. This is Z Games. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me tonight is a veritable cavalcade of personalities. First up, we have Maylee.
Hi.
Oh, Tom from Netherworld.
Howdy.
Is his official title? And of course, Caroline.
Hoi.
Hoi to you too. What a lovely crew we have today. How is everybody doing? Speak all at once.
I've had a lot of energy drink, so I'm great,
I
yeah.
don't have to say words just then.
This is
words.
a much more efficient way of talking to a group.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you take turns, you could take out minutes of just useless chatter, and we need to talk about video games.
Makes good radio.
I'm quite the fan of them, it turns out. Yeah.
Some are good.
Yeah. But before we talk about our personal love of video games, let's listen to some potentially good or potentially depressing news.
Woo.
Brought to us this week by one Zara.
Huzzah.
This week in gaming news. Remember the game Discworld? The point-and-click adventure game released in 1995 and adapted from the Discworld novels might get a re-release within our lifetimes. But it could potentially be dependent on the King of England being pretty cool. The simplified explanation, Discworld, the game, utilises a story written by Terry Pratchett for the game so developers could work with a cohesive plot. However, studios coming and going and the IP changing hands over the years has made understanding who has IP rights a bit complicated. Intellectual property rights suggest that King Charles might actually own 50% of the IP, with the other 50% reverting to the original creator. Who knows what might happen if that's really the case? Maybe he's a fan. We still own the IP rights. No one has spoken to us about any re-release, says Rihanna Pratchett. She has also clarified in 2012 that the company only has rights to the characters and not the games themselves. Yeah, someone played Doom on Soundwaves. Here's what it sounds like for a few seconds. The visuals of the game are represented in a spectrogram, while the inputs are a range of high-frequency notes mapped to specific keys. Instead of a controller or keyboard, use a microphone. Technically, the game doesn't run on an unintended device, it's just displayed and played in a weird and unintended way. But if you have a spectrogram, you can give it a try yourself, as the creator has uploaded the source code, complete with instructions. Texas Chainsaw Romance. One of the playable characters in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Johnny, has a fresh new look. Introducing Shirtless Johnny. And don't you worry, he's a free cosmetic for everyone. So open a bottle of wine, get comfortable, and then murder video game people. Happy late Valentine's. News Nibbles. Taco Bell held an E3-style event called Taco Bell's 2024 Live Mass Event, complete with hyping up chicken tenders, as well as live performances, all with that gamer pizzazz. This isn't really gaming related, but it was uncanny. Xbox will be announcing their new business updates on February 16th at 6 AM for those of you in Queensland. The announcement will be through their official podcast and will feature Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty. And now for some upcoming games. February 16th brings Mario vs. Donkey Kong for the Nintendo Switch. February 20 brings Skull and Bones for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Nightingale for the PC. February 21 brings Bandletale, a League of Legends story for the PC and Nintendo Switch, and Last Epoch for the PC. And February 22nd brings Pacific Drive for the PC and PS5, and Sons of the Forest for the PC. That's it this week in gaming news.
That was that in gaming news. Thank you for that, Zara. And what a lovely selection of stories we had there. The Discworld story is kind of a non-story. it's basically like if a company closed down and like basically the equivalent of a company not having a will, half of it goes to the state. But it's fun to say that Prince Charles owns Rincewind. But yeah, those games are great.
Digital Rincewind.
Yeah, digital Rincewind. Yeah. Second game voiced by Eric. Actually, no, Eric Idle did both games, then Discworld Noir, which was also awesome, but hard to run these days. So that's the only one I would actually want an update for because I can't run it easily. So yeah, was there anything else jump out at you? The future of Xbox. We speculated on that last week.
Meh.
Look,
yeah.
I'm excited to be able to play games on other consoles other than Xbox. I love my 360. It's a shame to see a company that was, pretty much top of the game in that generation just kind of let it all slip away.
They're just playing a different game now. They're not. The old console wars are long over.
Yeah.
It's other just for funs.
Well, I mean, Sega's going to be very, very satisfied.
Sega's coming back.
Yeah.
That's
what I want from this.
Exactly.
Xbox out, Sega back in. Dreamcast 2. Let's go.
Yeah. They're going to do the opposite of the Switch. They're going to have a handheld that you can only play on a television.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's a revolutionary thing. Let's get some Power Stone going. Yeah, okay. You've convinced me. Sega's back. And
you heard it here first.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they do have all of their super games coming out.
Oh yeah. Sonic with a real budget.
Well, no, I don't think Sonic was part of it. There was their announcement of because I can't remember. They had some ridiculous term like super games. It's like Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe. Power Stone wasn't there. A few. Jet Set Radio.
I think there was a Shinobi in there.
Yeah. So I think we're only missing one. And we're going all in on these. I'm like, look. A lot of these games were just arcade games, and like I don't know how you're going to make I think was it Eves from Ubisoft that said that Skull and Bones was quadruple A. Yeah. So these are the Sega's quadruple A games.
It's about time.
Yes, the extra A is for me hearty. Okay. Open wide and say Skull and Bones. Everyone's looking forward to it.
Yes.
Maybe.
I've been told that, and I love to fit in.
Yep. Hopefully it'll be as good as Assassin's Creed 4, right? It's going to be better. It has to be.
With the amount of ads I'm seeing for it, it's got to be amazing.
Is it getting ad exposure, is it? I'm rarely exposed to ads, so I don't...
I have not been exposed to any ads for it.
It'll be on the side of a bus soon, for sure.
Yes.
I look forward to it.
Nature's buffalo.
What?
With that, this is Ed Games. I am Paul, and joining me are Caroline.
Hello.
Maylee.
Hello.
And the man of the hour, Tom.
How are we all doing?
Woo woo!
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Now Tom's going to take us on a magical something journey with a review, and I don't know if you know how I like to start a review, but I like to do it like this. Come on now, let's do a review with Tom from Netherworld. Give me some wines. Say something good.
Good to be here. I love video games. I like doing things like video games. I like talking about them.
They're good.
That was incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. Incredible. The energy between us is like it's unspoken. Just like I had to speak it, but anyway, it was quiet. Otherwise, perfect. So we're talking about, of course,
Knuckle Sandwich, which is, I will get out ahead and say, this is a game that I backed on Kickstarter in 2018. Finally released at the end of 2023.
Classic
right in there. So, full disclosure, I have been watching this game for a long time. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. So, I feel like
you're heavily invested in the piece.
Yeah, I'm ready to be pleased, and I'm cautious about being disappointed. So, let's get into it. So, Knuckle Sandwich is a indie postmodern RPG passion project by Melbourne solo dev Andy Brophy. And that's the key word I'd use to describe this game, is passion. Andy Brophy's love and appreciation for the genre of role-playing games is on full display from the moment you start the game. And it's obvious that he's been influenced by handheld RPGs from the early to mid-2000s. Think Mother 3, Golden Sun, and just a hint of Legacy of Goku, with a visual style reminiscent of the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, with expressive 2D sprites, occasional mixed media style, clay 3D models, and fuzzy, low-resolution polygons.
Is Legend of Goku
cool.
like a strong pillar that I should be investigating?
I think it's cool. The first game is terrible. Everyone owned it. It's awful. The second game is better, and Boost Fury is actually really solid for an action RPG on the Game Boy Advance.
If I'm ever inclined. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So, as a postmodern RPG, the game takes place in a familiar yet off-the-wall city on the tipping point between gentrification and dilapidation, with small details such as the occasional magpies singing in the background and soft leaves rustling in the breeze. It's so easy to believe the world, and it just feels comfy and real. You play as a 20-something-year-old adult who, after a series of humiliating job trials on a game show stage, takes a job at a local grungy diner, where you'll be challenged to a knife fight by a greaser with green skin. You'll make friends with your co-workers, investigate a haunted walk-in freezer, tolerate an incompetent mayor, battle against weird cyberpunk bikers with out-of-this-world powers, and uncover the mystery that ties it all together. This light-hearted adventure is at its strongest when you are exploring the city, interacting with the locals, and hanging with your charming party members. Andy Brophy has an excellent sense of comedic timing. The dry humour and conversational tone feels authentically Australian without resorting to the usual stereotypes. We'll get into the combat. This is what really makes it different from a lot of... This is its selling point. The turn-based combat system is a hybrid of the active timed button presses to attack and dodge, similar to Mario Luigi Superstar Saga or Paper Mario, but the special moves are the true standout. Each special move that you perform requires a WarioWare-style microgame that takes approximately 5 to 10 seconds to complete, and these are unique to each special move you perform. And the same goes for your enemies, with each of their special moves giving you a chance to avoid damage and, on perfect execution, throw damage back at your enemies. They're snappy, they're easy to understand, but difficult to perfect every time. I can't understate the amount of effort that goes into these microgames. Every enemy has its own type. You'll be seeing fresh microgames every battle. They include things like ducking and weaving your head out of the way of exploding bees, or jumping over skateboarding dogs, or catching scoops of ice cream on a cone thrown at you by a sentient but legally distinct Buffalo Bill. It genuinely made me look forward to fighting like random encounters in areas. But this can cause some of the sections of the game to drag a little, especially if you struggle with twitch reflexes or rhythmic timing. At times it can feel your damage outputs too low, and enemies can outpace you very quickly. There are accessibility options to adjust damage taken or to remove timing elements included in the basic attacks, and you can even skip fights if you need to. The game is a tight 15-hour experience, which is understandable considering it's largely made by a single person. The short runtime does mean the story is packed in tight with little room to breathe. Your opportunities to explore the city, find collectibles, and complete side quests are minimal. I found myself reaching the credits feeling like I wished I'd seen more of the lively city and spent more time hanging out with my party members that I just started getting attached to. The appeal of the game is its charming world and characters, the humour, and a light-hearted tone. It's a love letter to an era of RPGs, and Andy Brophy has poured their heart and soul into the game, and it shows. But its limited opportunities to dig deep into the game's world, lack of side quest tracking, and pacing of some sections prevent the game from being flawless. But maybe that's just what gives it personality. Overall, it's fine as a role-playing game, but excellent as a light-hearted adventure game.
We need Knuckle Sandwich director's cut. Just get there's little there's little fine edges rough, but then as you say, the rough edges are sometimes, that's where the character.
If Y2K gets a second run at it, Knuckle Sandwich more than deserves it.
Did Y2K get a second run at it?
It's getting an update with new combat, new story elements, and new party members. It's basically getting Y2K Royale or Y2K Golden.
Because for those, Y2K was a postmodern RPG in its own self, and did not land.
Yeah, it was not funny. It was not charming. I didn't like the characters, and Knuckle Sandwich was everything that it should have been.
That's right. Knuckle Sandwich is the anti-Y2K postmodern RPG. Which brings us to the end of the review. Thank you very much, Tom.
No, it's It's really nice that you guys are having me. It's always a pleasure. It's lots of fun.
Gosh, you're a thrill. Continuing tonight's theme of Australian oddness, we're coming in with another review. This time it's me. It's gonna be fun. I promise you'll see. Hey. I don't like this. Okay. This review is going to be a little bit short, and because it's going to include an interview with the devs for reasons. So this game is called Pond Scum, a gothic.
Delicious.
Yes, it's very delicious. Anyway, it is a VR game, which very from asking them, foolishly decided to launch on December 25th. Which does limit your coverage, but I still found it. It was good, interesting to see, and I contacted them because of the music. It sounded interesting, and they sent me a key, and I had a look at the game. It's available on PC platforms, Steam, and itch, and also they got it on App Lab on the Meta Quest at the moment, which is where I apparently played it. So this game is a third-person platformer. I think these games work really, really well in VR. You know, your Astrobots, your
Moss.
Moss. It's quite Moss-like in that you're quite static, and you're controlling this crocodile running around, and the game's kind of quite hardcore. It's single touch kill, but instant respawn, and you're just trying to get through a level. There's a collectible on each level, and you're going to get that and get to the exit. It's sort of very rough, like low polygon PS1 style, but it's got a few little touches, some of which I have been showing other VR devs for stealing purposes, because I haven't seen them before, and they're great, and they work surprisingly well. So as you're controlling this character, when they approach an interactable object, that object appears in front of you. So if they run up to a button, you don't push like the interact button. A button just appears a foot in front of you, and you whack it with your own hand. And it's immediately intuitive. I wouldn't have thought so if you'd explained it to me. Saying like, I think the first thing you do in the game is there's a phone ringing, and you walk up to it, and suddenly there's a phone booth next to you. You grab the phone, put it up to your ear, and your mother's ranting at you.
Amazing.
Yeah. And there's one choice that is like, I wasn't sure if it was a mistake or not, and I wonder if it started as a mistake. So as I say, it's instant respawns. You're just trying to get through these levels, but the levels contain physics objects, and those do not respawn. So you start, if a level becomes too hard, because it is quite a hard game, it's 5 worlds, I think 5 levels per world, but it does get very tough. But I did start going, well, if I just kind of kill myself but shove this barrel towards the spikes and get through. And that's kind of it. It works very well. It's got a few intuitive ideas. It was a relatively quick development turnaround they did on it. They're a young studio. But as I said, I was first attracted because the music sounded interesting. And I contacted them and said, yo, is this like your music, or is it licensed, or, what's the deal? So, we have 3 composers. Like, what?
That's a lot of composers.
Yeah, so for a game that's niche and doesn't have, it is quite hard, it's got a lot of music. And that brings us to what we have currently as a short extract from a larger interview I did. The larger interview will be available probably this weekend online. It just has to finish being done with that. So now we're going to leave me to listen to me talk to the developers of Pond Scum. Woo.
Tonight I'm here talking with 2 Bens and an Oliver who have worked on an Australian VR game, Pond Scum, which has a little subtitle, doesn't it, Oliver?
That's right. Pond Scum, a gothic swamp tale.
Yes, a gothic swamp tale. And as everyone does when they're making a small sort of indie VR game, they have 3 composers on it, as is tradition. So we've got our 3 composers. We've got 2 of them here. How did we get to that position, and then what was the direction of the music in the game?
Yeah, I think Benjamin might be able to walk through a lot of the production.
Yeah, sure. So I did the music and I did the sound design for the game. So I do the sounds also. So when I was working on the levels, I was trying to create like a theme that would go with each level, and the starting level seemed like perfect for ambience. then the factory sort of had more of a mechanical, less cold organic feel to it. The level after that, which was more of a trippy, psytrancey type visualization, I went down the angle of like saying ideas of like Spangle and...
What's Spangle?
Spangle is like a psytrance artist, but he does all sorts of other stuff. And then World 4 was the Doom level, and I just wanted to go...
World 4 is like a gore world.
Yeah.
It's gory and spiders and yeah.
It just had, yeah.
When I started playing the tracks from that world, I was just happy and I found it like it was very well done, but also hilarious. Like I think it's Doom Call or something, which is just Doom and 9 Inch Nails just for the whole thing, and I'm like, makes me very happy.
Well, 9 Inch Nails is like one of my inspirations when I come to electronics. Obviously, if you listen to the soundtrack and listen to the game music, it's slightly different. There was a bit of a process with that. What we've done is, like, James created a really cool a code. He coded like a really cool like little audio engine inside Unity. So
yeah, I think the idea behind it was that there was kind of always 2 loops in each level, and they would come in and out of sync, and I think that's called polyrhythm, and that was working really well for us. And then we would be able to use the little widget, the sound widget, and the 2 tracks in each level to speed up and slow down essentially the same music, which gave us a lot more variance. We were having a lot of fun with that. And then for World 5, we thought, let's do classical piano. And my brother happens to be a very talented classical composer. Is that correct, Ben? Sorry,
it is true that we are brothers. I will at least give you that much.
Okay.
Are you humble enough to say that you are very talented, or at least moderately talented?
I'm not humble enough, but no, it was really a pleasure to be asked. It was somewhat late in the piece. I think I'm allowed to say that. So there was a bit of time pressure and sort of managing my timetable and commitments to get some music written before the close. But it was a lot of fun, and that 2-part phasing polyrhythm widget that they're talking about. It was a really interesting challenge for a classical pianist and composer to work with some electronics like that. Yeah, and I think it worked out all right.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice for the game because it's a game that has quite hard levels, so you could spend a long time on them, but if you're good and you know what to do, you can get through quite quickly all the each individual level. So the tracks only have potentially a short playtime, but then also because it's a really hard game, not that many people in this niche game will probably get to the end and hear all the work that you've put in.
Well, this is game design, yes. This is game design 101. And it is unfortunate, but it's also, I hope, a worthy reward for those that do make it all the way through to World 5.
And this is where I admit that I did not make it to World 5 because the game's quite hard. I was up to World 4.
We would have believed you if you told us.
Yeah, I'm all for honesty. And like generally I try to finish things, but sometimes I just can't. There's other stuff to play.
So you're listening to Zed Games, is that it?
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Hello, you're listening to Zed Games.
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 You're listening to Zed Games. You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
And that there was a song that I'm going to pronounce really, really badly.
Do it.
You can do it. Come on.
Come on. Believe in your dreams. Say it really badly.
Well, okay, so the first word's arena. That's in English.
Well done! Yay!
The song's called Arena.
It's the next word is just the letter Y.
Arena Y.
E. I'm supposed to be E-ing there.
Yeah, well,
good, because I'm really terrible with other.
I'm just thinking of the
Arena Alquiritran.
Perfect.
Well, you put a little stank on that word, so it sounds great.
Well, it's got a little hard thing. It's
that's for reading, not for saying.
Anyway, that's from the upcoming game Arco, which is actually an Australian game, and we also recently had a demo, which was pretty fun. Very sort of odd. It's turn-based, but the fighting is sort of like you just have amount of movement per turn, and you think, okay, that's not that weird, except the game involves a lot of dodging and fist fights.
Oh, so is it sort of like Transistor?
No, not at all. It's very unique. I recommend looking it up. It's very strange. I enjoyed my time with it. Anyway,
the game called again?
Arco, ARCO. It's currently in development. Was a demo available in Steam Deck Fest. I'm not sure if it's still live, but it was. So that's good enough for government work. Anyway, so what's everyone been playing?
Pal World.
I'll just turn this microphone off.
Goodbye. You can't stop. Oh. You turned me back up. I was fully prepared to yell.
I did enjoy your starting to you can't stop me whilst your microphone was already turned off.
Listen, I'm very slow today.
That's all right.
Confusing legalities aside, is it fun?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
That's why Nintendo can't sue, because it's an actually I wouldn't say it's
they
good.
Can sue if it's fun. The problem is there's no actual copyright infringement.
It's more, I don't think Pokemon games have been fun in a while.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's more of a survival game than a Pokemon game.
Yeah, it's like Ark, basically.
But also, it beats me in getting sick of survival games, because you just catch a slave and then put the slave to work doing the things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Including people. You can just catch a person in a ball and say, chop wood for me.
But
I'm
what
going
I've
to go do the
heard,
fun stuff.
They're much worse workers than the actual pals.
They suck so
people
bad.
Suck.
Get yourself a giant plant dinosaur to chop down some trees, and then you can go ride a giant bird.
Amazing.
And just wreck shop, and it's fun. It's so glitchy though. Oh,
I haven't had much glitchiness, but what's happened to you? There's an inherent nature of
Favorite survival game.
In the base, there's a lot of difficulty getting the pals to actually do the work. They keep on getting stuck on the boundary of my base.
Okay.
Inside rocks, inside trees, on top of my storage unit things. And I'll have to climb up and pick them up and then climb down and throw them on the ground.
I have enjoyed the devs have put out we're way too successful. We need more people. Please come and work for us. But there's a great post, and who knows how well it's been translated, but it's translated in a very amusing manner, which I love reading, because there was so much talk about did they use AI and this big evil people, they made a thing that people want to play, it's terrible, and it's no, they're actual people still, and they are just so far and over their heads. Part of the interview that I started with was we've never made our own models before, and so I had to learn how to model and rig, and I thought, I'll make one pal, and suddenly it was a month later and I'd made one.
I heard that when they wanted to add guns to the game,
this is true,
they discovered none of us know how to do gun animations, so they actually found a teenager that worked at a local convenience store that made gun animations on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, do you want a job?
Outstanding.
And so I don't think they're competent enough to be just ripping it off. They've gone it the hard way.
They have just Knuckles. They've done a lot of work. And good luck to them. I like a Flappy Bird success now and then.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's showing a huge market of people that wanted something like this that has not been exploited. Because last I saw, what were we up 6 million or something? Is it?
No idea.
So it was at least the second highest concurrent game ever on Steam, if not the most now. I have to go back and check my sources, and those sources are just Google.
Tomato sauce.
Yeah. What about you, Maylee? What have you been playing?
Been playing a bit of Palia. Very fun Stardew Valley-esque MMO. But I didn't realize until the news was played tonight that Nightingale is coming out very soon, so I might be switching over to that.
Yeah,
it's intriguing.
I have an old Monday night group, and I think that might be kind of perfect for them, but I am trying to make them play Helldivers. So maybe I just leave something for a month or so first anyway. As I say, I'm just trying to get them to play Helldivers. But Nightingale will balance out that. It's survival co-op, weird Victorian magic.
All the good things.
Yeah, all the good things in life. I played through, not as many as I want. I probably played through 20-something demos in Steam Next Fest. I've got a bunch of others downloaded. Hopefully they stay working.
For you.
Yeah, it's I'm renovating, and it's life, and oh gosh, they're terrible things. But probably other than the Children of the Sun, which I've spoken about a few times, Cryptmaster was the other game that I really, really liked. And it's like an old school grid-based first-person RPG. You can go through, you have fights, you go like, I'll go one step forward, I'll go one to the right, all this. Except also like kind of mixed with like a typing tutor and a cryptic clue crossword thing. Where
weird.
That's an assortment.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's got really good voice. Like there's sort of the crypt keeper like talking to us, like, "Oh well, here, come with." It's probably not that accent, but something like that. And you'll go like, there's a chest here. To open it, it's like, I will describe the object to you. Do you have any questions? It's like, look. It's like, it seems to be very hard to the touch. It's like, smell, it smells of nothing. But you've only got like 5 questions, and you're like, why
did I smell it?
yeah.
Can you eat the chest?
No. Oh, I'm sure you can probably taste. Yeah. I did do taste, so I assume eat would work as well. Because
Devour.
if you don't like. You can turn it off, but why would you? This seems to be the fun of the game.
Yeah.
But if you do not solve what it is, you do not get the item. So you may not get a shield. You may not get. It's like, So it's funny. It was just really fun to play.
That sounds good.
And it even because a lot of it is working out what all the moves your characters can do. You got to guess the word, and as you defeat things, you'll get some of their letters, and those letters will fill out. So you're a bit crosswordy sort of thing. But then also when you fight enemies, those enemies might be like, I'm immune to D.
Love being immune to D.
Yes. So Cryptmaster, still in development, but was extremely fun to play. Which pretty much brings us close to the end of the episode. Before we wrap up, there's an event happening at Netherworld this weekend, is there not, Tom?
Yes, there is always. On Saturday, we have our regular Worms Armageddon tournament. Which is fantastic.
I love my worms.
Worms are a good time. And Sunday we have the Jimmy Nails Open golf tournament. That is 27 holes of golf, which is 9 holes of real golf, 9 holes of pin golf, and 9 holes of video game golf. And for that we've selected MS Golf. We're doing 3 holes of MS Golf on the old MS-DOS. And we also have 9 holes of EA Sports Tiger Woods PGA 2010 on the Wii.
The absolute classic.
It is. We played a few holes of it when setting it up the other day, and it's actually kind of fun. I would almost play
kind of fun.
I was like, after we finished, I'm like, so what's the plan with this disc after we finish the
maybe we'll set a review up for it.
Please no.
Okay, thank you for listening, everyone. I've been Paul. Say your names. Come on.
Maylee.
Caroline.
Tom from Netherworld.
I tried pointing, but they didn't pick up, and then I just started pointing randomly to confuse them.
It was confusing.
That's the way. Let's go. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app
Or find us on socials at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.